If you've never read Harry Potter fan fiction, implying that I have, and which I have, and I've read a lot of it over the years, you may be surprised to know that Dumbledore is the main villain of about 80 to 90% of Harry Potter fan fiction. He's the villain in virtually every one of them. Even if Voldemort is still technically the main villain, Dumbledore's the villain for the vast majority of it. And he's the villain for the vast majority of it because people can't accept that, given his reputation, he's as utterly incompetent and irresponsible as he is in the books. They hold to the view that because he screws up so badly in the books, so consistently, that he has to be in on it. It has to be a fix. He has to be consciously trying to screw things up, because otherwise he would fix these things. He's just so incompetent. So the general theory is that Dumbledore is actually who Fudge says he is. He is a political radical who's power hungry, who does basically want a revolution, who wants to dramatically change the wizarding world and bring in kind of radical egalitarianism and popular democracy as kind of a means to bolster his own power. And he's seen as this disturbing, self-righteous figure who has this philosophy called the greater good, to which he's willing to sacrifice everybody for the greater good, which is just a delusion. It's not actually the greater good. It's something he's just made up. And generally speaking, the greater good involves whatever is good for Albus Dumbledore. And you can see this time and time again in the books. He's just, if he's not in on it, if he's not consciously letting stuff happen, then he's just so incompetent, it's unreconcilable with this image of him. Let's just go through the books quickly. First book, he didn't know that Quirrell had Voldemort in his head. Really? Quirrell disappears. Quirrell comes back. He's completely changed. He has a turban he's never going to take off. Really? There's no way of detecting that there's like a second face on the back of his head? There's no like dark spirit anti-Voldemort sensor he can put up? No one noticed this? No one bothered to investigate it? Like, how did the interview process go? You think Dumbledore would like vet his candidates to make sure they aren't possessed by a soul of like the most evil guy alive. You think like there'd be some sort of vetting process. But no, he just hires Quirrell, and he doesn't figure out that Quirrell's involved with anything. And Quirrell tries repeatedly to steal the stone or kill Harry, but Dumbledore doesn't really seem to give a shit. I'm pretty sure they knew that, Snape knew someone was trying to kill Harry because he was doing the counter jinx. And I think it was, I forget if Snape got into a fight with Quirrell or something, on the third floor. But I'm pretty sure they knew that he was trying to steal it. I mean, who else could it be? There's literally no one else who had access to it. There's literally no one else who could be the infiltrator. It's kind of like that video Ramsey Paul did on the infiltrator, and there's like they show a bunch of guys being arrested, and then there's one of them who's not wearing a prison jumpsuit, and he's obviously the infiltrator they sent in to stir the pot, so to speak. So that all happened. So that's book one. So he doesn't know it, and he leaves 3 children to face a Dark Lord and an experienced wizard together, and to go through traps, many of which result in certain death. Questionable to say the least. Book 2, he doesn't figure out it's a basilisk, despite the fact it's really obvious. He doesn't really seem to care. He doesn't really seem to take any security precautions or really give a crap. He's just kind of like, whatever. There's a giant snake that's turning people into stone. I'm gonna go eat some lemon drops. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty weird. Then in Prisoner of Azkaban, he's like, I could tell Harry that his godfather didn't do nothing. I really don't feel like it. I'm gonna go have some more lemon drops. I'm not gonna tell him about Lupin. I'm not gonna tell him shit. I'm gonna go eat my candy. Let's see here. Book 4. There seems to be no safety precautions whatsoever for any of the tasks. He doesn't really seem to care that much when Harry's name comes out of the goblet. He's just kind of like, oh, it's a binding magical contract. Don't worry, I'm sure he'll be fine. He's only the fucking Messiah. I don't think I need to help him against the dragon. I'm sure he'll figure it out. But then he'll say, but it shows he has confidence in Harry. Yeah, but Harry's a slacker. He does shitty in his courses. He never has any aptitude for being a wizard. He's just thoroughly average in every way. So they expect him to go up against like a dragon and survive. To expect him to go to the lake and survive. He's just kind of like, oh, I'm sure it'll all work out. I'm sure the Messiah, who's the only one who can beat Voldemort, sure he'll be fine. So on the bottom of the lake when Harry obviously has no plan prior to Dobby conveniently showing up and saving his ass, I'm sure it'll be okay. Then Voldemort comes back, and Dumbledore doesn't use any of the myriad of ways available to get Harry to confirm his story. He doesn't use pensive, he doesn't use unbreakable vows. Any of the numerous ways in the Potterverse that would lend credence to Harry's story, he doesn't really seem to care. He's like, yeah, Voldemort's totally back, guys. I'm gonna go drink some beer. He just seems like he's drunk the whole time. Maybe he's stoned. The actor kind of seems stoned. So he's just kind of stoned. Then in like Order of the Phoenix, he's like, there's nothing I can do about Umbridge, despite the fact I'm like the most powerful guy in Wizarding Britain. Really sucks, Harry. I'm sure you'll figure this out. I'm gonna go fuck off. So then he leaves to go get stoned, and he leaves Harry behind. He doesn't really seem to care that Harry's being tortured or bother to figure out. He doesn't really seem to care about Harry's dreams or ever check on him. And then Sirius gets killed, and Dumbledore shows mild concern. He's like, oh, well, that sucks. I probably should have kept a closer eye on that. Oh, well, I'm sure everything will be okay. He doesn't tell Harry about the prophecy. He shows up at the last minute and is completely ineffectual fighting Voldemort. He just sucks at that too. I mean, there's nothing he's good at. And then in Half-Blood Prince, he's just like, okay, Harry, don't worry. I'm going to leave this in your hands. Are you going to give me like special training? No, I'm not going to give you special training, Harry. Are you give me like some super secret magical artifacts like wizarding armor and like a wizarding sword and like all kinds of like cool gadgets? No, Harry, I'm just going to tell you some vague bullshit about Voldemort's past, and I'm sure you'll figure out the rest. I have too much time to really figure this out. I stupidly got myself poisoned, and there's nothing I can do about it. You could cut off the arm. No, Harry, it's too late for that. There's nothing I can do. I'm going to go leave you alone once again to solve my problems. Okay, bye. And then Dumbledore gets Snape to kill him without explaining it to Harry, because that's the way that Dumbledore rolls. He doesn't explain shit. He never helps Harry out. He's just incompetent. He's incompetent, or it's all a setup. And Deathly Hallows seems to confirm that it's all a setup. That Dumbledore is part of some weird cult that worships the Deathly Hallows, which is never really explored or explained. So Dumbledore is the part of some weird cult. Maybe it's like the Wizarding Illuminati. The symbol kind of looks like the Wizarding Illuminati. It turns out he like held this super wand, which probably could have helped Harry out, but he didn't really bother to mention that. So yeah, he's just like, Harry, I engineered your whole life so it would be shit, so you would sacrifice yourself, and this vaguely defined prophecy would mean that Voldemort would be destroyed in a plot contrivance, after he obviously wins. Well, Dumbledore, that doesn't really make a lot of... Silence, Harry! I am the all-knowing Dumbledore. I know these things for certain. You know, these books give you a really creepy vibe. Does it ever feel to you like Dumbledore's grooming Harry? Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it? Dumbledore is kind of a creepy guy. I really want to see what's on his computer. Given his relationship with the students, his just general creepiness, his general kind of sociopathic tendencies, his disrespect for children's safety and happiness, and his complicity in child abuse. Yeah, I wouldn't want to see what was on his computer. The Scotland Yard might want it, though. I don't know what the laws are like in the wizarding world, but yeah, I get a really creepy vibe from the guy. So that's Albus Dumbledore. Either he's a sadistic knot like he is in fan fiction, who's obsessed with his own power, or he's and I didn't even go into him leaving Harry with the Dursleys. That's another hugely bad decision he made that no one ever bothered to follow up on. So either he's like really, really stupid and has just been fooling people for all these years, or he's a bad guy. I don't know which one it is, but if you look at the person who screws Harry over the most in the series, it ain't Voldemort. It's Albus Dumbledore, the leader of the good guys. And the fact that J.K. Rowling doesn't really seem to notice this and notice how bad he is, and she still kind of idealizes him in the books, says something about her skills as the writer and and of her self-awareness. Anyways, guys, that's my thoughts on the matter. Argent Templar signing out.